Hello, dear students. Welcome to the weekly current affairs session by Geoid. So today we are going to discuss about the top priority current affairs of this week, that is 29th June to 5th July. Okay. So let's go to the first article. The first article, the title of the article is Maharashtra scrapes new three language policy. Okay. So what do you mean by scraped? Scrape means to remove. So, what is the article talking about? Maharashtra scraped the three language policy. Okay. So, what is the keyword here? It is the three language policy. Okay. So, what is this three language policy? What are the three languages that are normally taught in schools? Yes, one we will have a compulsory language, then a first language and a second language, right? You might be remembering the subjects that you have learned in your school days. So, English will be a compulsory subject. Then, other than that, you will be having first language, mostly Hindi, and then you will have the regional language, right? Okay, so which state came up with the scraping policy now? It is Maharashtra. Okay, here what you have to see is what is this three language policy, and next you have to see why Maharashtra is coming up with this step. What is the reason? What are the advantages of this policy? And the fourth important point is what will be the impact of this removal of this three language policy. Okay, so these are the very important things from a mains point of view. Okay, so from which subject is it important for our UPSC? Okay, it comes under the governance paper, I mean governance topic in GS2. Okay, so it is very important there. And even we have right to education. Which article talks about the right to education in our constitution? Yes, Article 21A. Okay. So this is also a part of right to education, right? So from our polity point of view also it is important, this article. Okay. So now let's see what exactly this article is talking about. The Maharashtra government has officially scrapped the introduction of the three language policy for which classes? Classes 1 to 5 in the state government schools. That is, in the primary classes, that is class 1 to 5, they have removed this three language policy. Okay, now when did we introduce this three language policy? Before that, which national education policy do we have now? Now we have the National Education Policy of 2020. But before this 2020, we had this National Educational Policy of 1968. And in that 1968 NEP, government came up with this three language policy. Please make a note about this, okay? In 1968, National Education Policy, which made Hindi compulsory across the nation with specific language requirements for the states. Okay, the Hindi speaking states were to teach Hindi, English, and a modern Indian language, preferably a South Indian language. And the non Hindi speaking states were expected to teach local language, Hindi, and English. Okay, these were the main characteristics of the three language policy in of NEP 1968. And what is the significance of this three language policy? First one is that we can enhance multilingual proficiency and we can encourage students to learn multiple languages so that we can improve cognitive skills and communication. You might be remembering in your school days, like you will be having a period of Hindi, a period of English, and a period of Malayalam for the Kerala students. In the Hindi period, you will have to speak in Hindi, and what usually children do, they will do something funny because they might not be knowing how to speak, right? So maybe they will be limiting their conversation to one or two words. So all these things I hope you might have gone through when you were in your school days. Okay, the next one is for a national integration, especially if we see for North India and South India. Generally, the North Indian people they will be speaking in Hindi language, right? And for South India, we will be having many regional languages, right? So, to improve this national unity, we have to decrease this north south divide based on language. That is the reason why the parliament proposed this three language policy. Okay. And the next significance is to improve the employment and mobility opportunities. For example, if the south people are not getting adequate employment opportunities in the southern region, they have to move to the north, right? So if they don't know Hindi, then what happens? Do they get adequate opportunities there? So to improve the employability opportunities and also to improve the mobility opportunities. For example, if you're going to any tourist sites, normally if you're going to north, they will be speaking only Hindi, right? So for a comfortable communication, knowing Hindi is a must. And okay, now let us discuss about the concerns. That is why this Maharashtra government scraped this policy. First reason is the or first concern is the perceived imposition of Hindi. Non-Hindi speaking space perceiving imposition of Hindi, that is non-Hindi speaking states, especially Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Karnataka, etc., oppose it as an attempt to impose Hindi. Actually, in these southern states, we have their own regional language, right? So, when the government is trying to impose Hindi, it is having a negative impact on the states. Okay, they are feeling that central government is trying to impose Hindi forcefully. Okay, and the second one is the practical implementation challenges. For example, if someone has to teach Hindi, first they have to know Hindi, right? So, in many schools, they lack qualified teachers for teaching additional languages. Okay, we may feel that we don't have such problems in Kerala, but okay, compared to other states, because we are very high in education, but it is not the same with other states. So, this point is still relevant. Okay, that is the lack of qualified teachers for teaching additional languages. Then another point can be the burden of students. Okay, because learning an additional language may increase the academic load, particularly for students who struggle with this language. The next point would be there is a potential neglect of foreign languages. That is, when we are having the free language policy, we are not focusing on the foreign language. Okay, we know that we have international schools here now, right? But previously we didn't have such schools, right? So previously in schools there were only these three languages. I mean, international schools were less. So for them, uh, they had, I mean, they couldn't even afford to learn these languages comfortably, like the languages like Hindi or any other additional language. So for them, learning a foreign language was actually almost impossible, right? So it becomes an additional burden. Today we know that especially in some schools, especially the international schools, there are schools focusing on French, German, etc., right? So giving an additional burden to the students, uh, or urging the students on this three language policy, what happens is that it deprives the students from learning other international languages like French, German, etc. Okay, so if they don't get the opportunity to learn these languages, what happens is that maybe they will be having some problem with the international opportunities. Okay, so what the Maharashtra government is saying that the students should be encouraged to learn global languages like French, German, Mandarin, Spanish, etc., so that they can improve the international opportunities. So these are the main points from this article. So please keep in mind while writing answers on this particular paper. Okay. Okay, and so let's move to the next news. That is, three dead, over 50 injured in the morning stampede during the Rath Yatra in Puri. Okay, 3 dead over 50 injured in the morning stampede during the Rath Yatra in Puri. What is the keyword here? One is stampede. Apart from that, the Rath Yatra in Puri. Okay, so Puri is in Odisha. Okay. Okay, now what is the meaning of stampede? Okay, because of the lack of proper management, crowd management, many people lose their life and many people get injured. Okay, so this is called stampede. So this is related to crowd management. So here it says, the article says that loss of life and damage to life happened, right? So in which paper does this come? It comes under disaster management in GS3. We know that there are many recent examples of stampede, right? Recently, the RCB Bangalore issue and the issue in Hyderabad Sandhya Theatre due to the presence of a particular celebrity. You might have read that in the news. Then in Kumbh Mela. Okay, so one keyword here is stampede and the other keyword here is Rath Yatra. Okay, so Rath Yatra is very, very famous in Odisha. If you see, this topic is important from temple architecture. You will be studying in your art and culture. In India, we have three types of temple architecture. Okay, if you see the map of India, you will find that in the north, the temple architecture is called the Nagara style. In south, it is called the Dravidian style. And in between these two, we have the combination of Nagara and Dravida style, which is called as the Vesara style. And this Puri Jagannath temple belongs to the Nagara architecture in North India. Okay, so there are chances for getting a prelims question regarding this Rath Yatra in Puri temple, and also this stampede actually it is a topic based on mains point of view in the disaster management. Okay, so this article is saying that during early hours of Rath Yatra festival in Puri, Odisha, a tragic stampede near the chariots carrying deities of Lord Jagannatha, Lord Balabhadra, and Devi Subhadra resulted in the death of three devotees, including two men, and injured over 50 others. So, here, who are the deities? Please make a note: Lord Jagannath, Lord Balbhadra, and Devi Subhadra. Okay, it's very important in a prelims point of view. Questions can be expected. And okay, then Odisha government announced around 25 lakh compensation for families of the deceased. That is another important point here in this article. Also, another thing was which was given in the article is that Puri district collector and SP was transferred and two police officers were suspended. So it is very important, right? The role of an IAS officer and an IPS officer in such a field is very, very important. So if you are not doing your duty properly, or if you are not planning or executing the duty properly, then definitely action will be taken. Okay, and next, if you see some facts regarding this Jagannath Rath Yatra, it is an annual Hindu festival that celebrates the journey of Lord Jagannath and his elder brother, that is Lord Balabhadra, and his younger sister, Goddess Subhadra, from their home temple in Puri to their aunt's temple in Gundicha, which is approximately 3 kilometers away from the Puri temple. And in these 3 kilometers they will be traveling on a chariot. Okay, that is why it is also called the festival of chariots. And this festival, it is actually, it dates back to at least 21st century. Okay, and one more thing is that this temple was built by King Anantavarman Chandoganga Deva, which is a very, very important point. Okay, he belonged to the Ganga dynasty. And one more important thing that you have to note is that these three deities, they will be carried on three massive wooden chariots and that are pulled by devotees with ropes. Okay, and also it this festival, particular festival, begins on the second day of the bright fourth night of the month of Ashada, that is mostly in the June, July months, and lasts for almost 9 days. Okay, now another important thing is that you have to make a note regarding the NDMA guidelines for effective crowd management and preventing stampedes. Very, very important. I am stressing it again. Please make a note of it because it will be helpful for you in your exams. Okay, especially in GS3. So, whenever we have a disaster to manage, we will be having institutions at national level, state level, and local level. Okay, at national level, how many institutions do we have? We have six institutions. Okay, what are they? First one is platform, next one is cabinet community on security, next NDMA, NDRF, we have one national institute. Okay, so we have overall six platforms under national level. Okay, and in state level we have state disaster management authority as well as state disaster management response force, and at local level we have local authorities and panchayats and municipalities. Okay, so we have on a national level we have NDMA, that is National Disaster Management Authority. They have given certain guidelines for prevention of disaster management. So the guidelines are very important, which you have to compulsorily include in the answers, okay, of this kind. First one is capacity planning. Okay, so first we have to monitor what is the area we have. We have to analyze how many visitors are going to come and whether we are going to provide essential facilities or not. We have to see that. And we have to establish multiple routes, that is multiple entry as well as multiple exit routes. Okay, and the second point is that we have to control crowd properly. How can we control? Yeah, we have to encourage queue management. And next one here is movement and outflow using barriers. We can use barricades, or nowadays we are also using ropes. Okay, and the next point is we have to focus on hazard, risk, and vulnerability analysis. And we have to focus on FEMA. FMEA. FMEA is nothing but failure mode and effect analysis. So we are going to rate hazards by severity, frequency, and detection, difficulty to prioritize risk reduction. And also we have to develop a course of action. Okay. So it is very important now. Now the most important point in the mains point of view, that is the role of science and technology in crowd management. Okay, so we can use we can use drones, we can use uh, CCTV cameras, AI based crowd density analysis, so that we can monitor the situation on real time. And the next one is that we can have good communication systems like automated public address systems, SMS alerts, and digital signboards for crowd control. And we have to focus on AI simulations and predictive models to assess the potential crowd surge risks. Okay, that is, it is very important to simulate and predict such disasters. Okay, so that we can uh, do something to prevent them. We can use this RFID based tracking also, so that we can go for proper mapping of high density areas, high density events, etc. Okay. Okay, so these are the ways by which you can use AI for crowd management. If you get any other good points, please include them in your answers. Kindly make a note of these things, not the specific news article, but the specific topic. For example, in this particular article, two things that you have to take care of is one is regarding stampede or crowd management in GS3 disaster management paper, and other than that, the facts regarding the Radha Yatra in Puri Jagannath temple. Okay, what are the importance or what are the main facts regarding this particular ceremony, Radha Yatra, and what are the facts regarding the temple as well? Who built the temple and what are the news regarding it? Okay, because such newses are having a very high probability in the in a prelims point of view. Okay. Okay, next article is an editorial article. The title is A Year Later Colonial Era Laws to New Criminal Codes. So, before discussing this article, you need to know the history. Okay. In modern period, India was under rule of the Britishers, and the Britishers ruled India for how many years? Approximately, yes, for more than 200 years, right? So most of our laws, they were made during this British time. And after we got independence also, we didn't make any changes in most of the laws. Have you heard about this CRPC, IPC, etc.? Yes, if you are watching movies, then you might have heard like IPC section, CRPC section, etc. Right, they might be quoted in the Indian movies. Okay, so this IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act. So these three are related to the crimes, investigation, punishment, etc. in a country, and they belong to the British period. Okay, but we got independence in 1947, but till now also we haven't taken any steps to make any changes in those laws. Okay, last year we converted those three into new Indian laws, so that is the reason why this article is in news. Okay, now let us see what is this article about. Okay, so the article says that it has been nearly a year since India replaced three colonial era criminal laws. What are they? IPC, the Indian Penal Code, CRPC, the Code of Criminal Procedure, and next one is the Indian Evidence Act. And we replaced these three with new three Indian laws. Please make a note. First one is BNS, that is a Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. IPC has been replaced by this Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Next, CRPC has been replaced by this Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, BNSS. And the Indian Evidence Act is replaced by Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, BSA. So all the three criminal laws which were present from the British period were replaced by these three Indian laws last year. Okay. Please make a note of this and study. Very high probability in prelims and mains both. Table type questions, pair type questions, all these questions are possible. Okay. So why we need to replace these old era criminal laws? What is the need of replacing them? Yes, because we are getting new problems now. Why? Because we are using science and technology. So we are getting new era crimes, right? So you might be knowing that in our Indian judicial system, a crime can be punished only if it is written in the law, right? So uh, if a crime it is not mentioned in the Indian law, then it cannot be punished. Okay, for example, if you see IPC and CRPC, is there anything regarding cyber related crimes? Is anything written there? No, right? But today, cyber related crimes are very much high, right? So, if there is nothing related to this written on these laws, then the cyber related crimes cannot be punished in our country. Okay, so, because of such reasons, what we have done is that we have replaced it. Okay, and also we can see that in Indian Evidence Act, we can see that this camera recording, CCTV recordings, etc., cannot be considered as an evidence. Okay, but now we have the technology, right? So, camera can be used as a very good platform as an evidence. Okay, so, the old laws have been replaced by the new laws so that we can use science and technology not only to punish but also to consider evidences or to improvise the evidences. Okay. So, let us see what are the details given in the article. First one is the introduction of the eSakshya app revolutionizes evidence collection with real time audio visual document. So, to implement this new types of laws in our country, we need certain website. We have to incorporate science and technology in our system. So for that, they came up with the introduction of eSakshya app. Okay, please make a note of eSakshya app. Very probable question. So if you have to improve public service delivery system, what we have to do? We have to incorporate technology. Okay, right? So whenever you are writing an answer in governance paper, something related to ICT, then you can always add the eSakshya app as a example. Okay. So in this eSakshya app, we are focusing on evidence collection, and real-time audio-visual documentation. Okay. Next important point is the integration of police, forensic labs, prosecution, jails, and courts via the interoperable criminal justice system. If you watch, if you guys have watched the latest investigation series or investigation thriller movies, you can see that the police is investigating a case, and the forensic team comes in aid. Okay, so everything is interconnected, right? So this is what happens in the interoperable criminal justice system. Actually, earlier it didn't have. Okay, so that means for to investigate a case, or to find out whether a crime has happened or not, many departments come together and work together, integrate with each other, so that crimes can better be proved and justice can better be served. Okay, so tracing of criminals, catching them, awarding punishments, everything will be very easy through this interoperable criminal justice system. Okay. So the next point here is the mandatory presence of forensic science experts at crime scenes, improving evidence reliability. Okay, again, there is another reference that we have seen in some movies, for example, a Malayalam movie, Forensic, and many other movies. So, in all these things, you can better understand all these concepts. So, you might have observed that these forensic people. I am speaking about movies. Okay, in movies, you can see that if a crime happens, so to collect the evidence, the people from the forensic team are coming. They are taking some extracts of the eatables that are found there, or maybe even the skin cells that are found there. They can extract the DNA from many unnoticeable, very micro things, right? So all these things, actually it happens in real life. Okay, all these things are done in real life, and now it is very mandatory that the presence of forensic science experts are must be there in the crime scenes, so that what happens is that this improves the reliability of the evidence. Okay, so these things were not, these laws were not given in the previous Indian Evidence Act or something like that. That is the reason why we replaced them. Okay, so the best example of what happens if all these facilities are not available, it is better if you, I guess you guys have watched the movie J Beam. So in that movie, you can know that there is no such forensic presence. Presence of forensic officers or something like that, right? So the investigation is happening, or the investigation is conducted by certain police officers, and that's it. So there is a lack of accountability, lack of transparency, lack of proper facilities to prove the crime, right? Okay, so these are the disadvantages if all these laws are not newly added into our criminal law. Okay, criminal law system. The next point here is that we are using geotagged photos, videos, and mandatory selfies by investigating officers, so that officers can enhance their transparency and accountability. Also, now we are deploying trained police dogs. Okay, so that the investigation can be done in a proper way. But again, even though we are doing all these things, in some areas things are lacking, right? For example, proper infrastructure is a challenge, and there is a shortage of devices, and also there is a limited court access to digital evidence. Okay, so you might be aware of that as well. So what we can do is that if we are able to overcome these challenges, then we will be able to do proper justice delivery, right? Proper tracking of crimes, proper punishing of crimes, so that we can ensure proper justice delivery. Okay, so that's all about this article. So now let's move to the next article. Very important. So see the title. Why is the ECI delisting political parties? So what are the keywords here? First one is the ECI. ECI means the Election Commission of India. So the next keyword is the delisting. Delisting of what? Political parties, right? First, we have to remember that Election Commission of India is responsible for the listing of political parties. So, if you have to remove any political parties, that is delisting of political parties, again, who is responsible? Again, the Election Commission of India is itself responsible. Okay, for removing any political parties. So, you might be knowing that the Chief Election Commissioner of India will be an IAS officer, right? So, probability of case study questions are there. Okay, why this is a news? Because the Election Commission of India initiated steps to delist 345 registered unrecognized political parties. So, why this step was taken by ECI is they didn't contest in any elections in the last 6 years and their offices could not be physically located. That means they just registered for a namesake. They didn't contest in any elections and also there were no physical offices. Okay. So, because of these reasons, is there any need of listing those political parties? No. So, that's why Election Commission of India is going to delist around 345 political parties. So, from which article we can see this? Political party is nothing but forming an organization or association. So, it comes under the fundamental right to form associations. Under which article? Article 19(1) subclass C talks about right to form associations. So, here whenever election commission is removing a political party or delisting a political party, then it will be affecting a fundamental right? Yes. And what is the process of registering to become a political party? Any political party that seeks registration should submit a copy of its memorandum or constitution within 30 days of its formation. After review, ECI will register them as a political party. Okay. And as per ECI notification, there are more than 2,800 registered but unrecognized political parties in India, but only 750 of them contested in the 2024 general elections, and the political parties that have not contested in any elections in the past 6 years are going to be removed now. Okay. Okay, so that is the article about, and what you have to do is, as a homework, what you can do is that what happens if unnecessary political parties, like the parties which are just for namesake, they still persist. What are the problems? Okay, what can be done in favor of that? Sorry, what can be done to overcome that? Okay, you can just think over it, just do a brainstorming, because you can expect any type of questions in the UPSC mains. Okay, so that's all about this article. Okay, so let's see the next article. 17 dead in massive explosion at pharma unit near Hyderabad. So what is this article about? A blast happened in a pharmaceutical unit, okay, in Hyderabad. Some died, 17 died, and many got injured. So, which subject does it come? Again, it comes in disaster management. Actually, in this week, we have many news regarding disaster management. Okay, so please have a proper note about this particular topic. So, how many kinds of disasters do we have? We have two types. One is natural disasters and man made disasters. So, this blast comes under natural or man made? Yes, it is a man made disaster. Okay. So, how can you expect a question from here? What kind of question can be asked? So, generally, in disaster management, the questions will be mainly on a definition, the causes, impacts, and the measures to prevent disasters. Okay, so in case of this man-made accidents, uh, UPSC may ask you about the causes, what are the impacts, and what can be the measures. And one more thing regarding the man-made disasters, what you have to see is the acts and laws which are made by the government to prevent such kind of disasters. Okay, very, very important. So in this context, you have to refer to the important acts and laws which are related to the factories or industries of our country. Okay, very, very important. And this topic will be important for your mains, and probability of getting prelims questions are comparatively low, but we cannot completely ignore them. Okay, so now let us see clearly what this article is about. A devastating explosion at the Sigachi Industries pharmaceutical unit near Hyderabad. And the reasons for this blast is, okay, they are going for some suspicions. That is, this blast happened in one room which is called the drying unit or a reactor room in this area. Suddenly, a reactor failure led to this blast. Okay, that is one suspected cause of this blast. And what is the impact? What happened here? People died, right? Almost 15 to 17 people were died. And also loss of infrastructure, right? It was a three-storied building. Loss of infrastructure happened. The whole building was collapsed, which leads to some structural damage. And then, do we have any economic impact? What are the impacts? I mean, economic impacts. Yes, it leads loss to the so and so company, and also it is a burden to the government, right? Because the government has to give compensations for the affected people, right? So here in this case, the Telangana government has promised that the all the injured people, they will be getting world class treatment. So the government needs to spend for their treatment. And what about the people who are injured? For example, if they are severely injured, then will they be able to get back to work, get back to their normal life? No, it will affect the life of the people, right? Living conditions of the people as well. So in such cases, government has to give additional aids to such people, right? So it again becomes additional burden to the government, right? So in this way, it has multi-dimensional impacts, right? So we have to specify each one, okay, in the answers. And next one is the community impact. Uh, it uh, com- if we see the community impact, we can say that actually it happened the surrounding area almost 5 kilometers around got affected. So what happens is that the people in that area, they will get panic, right? And do you think that the people there will allow to set up any industry, such industries in that region again? No. Will they come forward to work as laborers in so and so manufacturing units? No. So, because of this, it is going to impact the community as well. Okay. So, now please make a note about what are the laws or acts that are relevant to such incidents in our country. Okay. So, first one is we have the Factories Act of 1948. What it does, it mainly tells about safe working conditions of the people. It goes for regular inspections, and also it will be focusing on maintenance of machinery to prevent accidents. Okay, so it always this act mainly ensures focuses on ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of the workers. It also includes safe handling of hazardous substances. Okay, this is Factories Act 1948. And the second one, whenever we have such a blast, okay, suppose if there are any chemicals in this particular factory, You might be aware about the Bhopal gas tragedy, right? So that time what happened, which chemical was released? It was methyl isocyanate, right? So what was the impact? You know that even if we go to that area, you know that it is not completely recovered. There is a lot of air pollution, ground contamination, and even complete removal of that contaminated material was not yet possible. Okay, and even the people who are living in those surrounding areas, they are having birth defects even now. So even today they are fighting for compensation. So that means we have environmental impacts due to these accidents. Okay. So for this we have the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, which is the second important act. Okay. And this act regulates the handling and disposal of hazardous chemicals to prevent environmental and human harm. And the third important act is Chemical Accidents, Emergency Planning, Preparedness and Response Rules 1996. Actually, these come under the Environmental Protection Act. It mainly focuses on handling of hazardous chemicals and emergency response plans to conduct regular safety drills. Okay, this is the third important rules. And next one is we have Workmen's Compensation Act. Now it is called the Employees Compensation Act. If the workers are getting affected, if such accidents, so they must get the compensation, right? So for this we have this particular act, which is now called the Employees Compensation Act. So as per this act, compensation is mandatory for workers who are injured or killed in workplace accidents. Okay. And next one is the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020. Actually, it is a very recent one. Actually, what does this do? This code actually it consolidates earlier laws like the Factories Act and emphasizes occupational safety. For example, it includes risk management and safety audits for hazardous industries. Okay. Okay, so please keep in mind to note down all these points. If needed, please pause the video, go back and note down these acts and take down the key points of these acts, because there are high probability that you get a direct question in your mains. For example, I mean, UPSC has done that in the past. Okay, so UPSC can ask about the rules and regulations or the acts regarding uh, accidents in industries or disasters that happen, man-made disasters that happen in the industries in India. Okay. Also, whenever there is a question in governance point of view, that is how government is ensuring the safety of the workers. So there also you can add these points, these acts and laws. Okay. So wherever you are getting a choice or chance to include these, so please do include this. It is a value addition and it is a validation to what you're writing, your points. Okay, so there are high chances that you fetch extra marks compared to other aspirants. Okay, so this is one of the key methods to improve your presentation. Okay. Okay, now see the next article. It is about the announcement of cabinet of more incentive schemes, or one particular incentive scheme to generate more jobs. So what is this particular article talking about? Yes, incentive scheme for generation of new jobs. So generation of jobs is called as employment opportunities, right? So is it there in your syllabus? Yes, we have this in the GS paper 3 under economy. Employment is a very, very important topic. Now, see, do we have appropriate employment opportunities in our country? Actually, the answer is no. So, if there is no appropriate employment conditions in the country, it will increase the unemployment, right? Now, what do you think are the reasons of unemployment? The first is lack of skills. Okay. Then increased population, lack of opportunities, low trade, illiteracy to some extent, lack of entrepreneurship. That is, all are ready to do the jobs, but no one is there to create jobs in our country. Lack of appropriate training, the outdated education that we have. So, these are the most possible reasons of unemployment in our country, right? So, now, if we have to solve unemployment, what can we do? We have to encourage investment so that we can set up MSMEs, right? Are like or MSMEs are like employment engines. Okay, then next we have to improve entrepreneur skills. Okay, we can have adequate steps to increase skills, and we can increase the opportunities, right? How can we increase the opportunities? We can have a tie up with industries, right? Whatever skills these industries want, they can impart those skills in the students in these institutions, and after the course is completed, they can directly recruit these students in those industries. Okay, so this is called the tie-up facility. Then another important point is the updation of education with new technology, having a tie up with other universities. For example, now our prime minister is going for a 5 country tour, right? So also we are having a lot of summits, especially in the last previous months. We had SCO, we had G7, and then we had the BRICS, right? So when we are having a tie-up with the developed countries, we can also have agreements regarding education as well, right? So with that, can we overcome this problem of outdated education? Yes. So we can go for a tie-up with the foreign universities. So next, government can provide incentives to provide employment opportunities, right? So that is the reason why this article is in news. Okay. So here, government came up with this scheme called ELI, that is Employment Linked Opportunities, for what? To boost the employment in our country. Okay. So where can we use this article? Yes, whenever we are using or whenever we are answering a question regarding unemployment, you can add this incentive or incentive scheme. Okay. So here, the Union Cabinet of India approved a significant ELI scheme, that is Employment Linked Incentive Scheme, with a budget allocation of some amount. Actually, it is not necessary to remember the exact amount, because it is difficult to remember, and also if you are trying to quote the amount in the answer and by chance it goes wrong, it will give a negative shade to your answer. So better not to, if you are not 100% sure with the amount, not to go with those particular numbers in the answer. Okay, but you have to remember that the government came up with the ELI scheme, and it wants to boost employment generation, particularly in the manufacturing sector. Why is this government focusing on the manufacturing sector? What are the advantages of this manufacturing sector? So actually we have three sectors, right? The primary, secondary, and tertiary sector, right? Primary sector means mainly agriculture, secondary sector means the manufacturing or industries, and the third sector is the service sector, that is called the tertiary sector. Okay. So if we see, India is called an agricultural economy or a primary economy. Why? Because more than 50% of our population are involved in this activity. What activity? Agriculture. Okay. So if you know about the rural areas, see, most of them will be employed in the agricultural sector. Like the entire family will be employed there. Okay. For example, if there is a field where only four people are needed to work, but the thing is that all the whole members of the family, maybe 9 or 10, everybody will be working in that particular field. Okay. So in such a case, is it possible to generate employment there? No chance, right? In the same way, we have uh, tertiary sector, that is in the service sector. We already have banking, hospitals, and all other sectors, right? So already we have enough employment opportunities there. Okay, so now where the employment opportunities are lacking is the manufacturing sector. Okay, here one thing that we have to note, that always whenever a country is moving to development, they will move in this way, that is primary to secondary sector, secondary to tertiary sector. This is the way every country moves. Okay, but in case of India, from this primary sector, we directly jump to the tertiary sector and we ignored the manufacturing sector. So now, what happened is that since we have ignored the manufacturing sector, we have unemployment issues here. So now the government wants to come up with the employment linked incentives to boost the employment opportunities in this manufacturing sector. Okay. So, what are the main points in this article? This scheme focuses on the manufacturing sector, and they will give incentives up to 4 year of extended employment. Okay. And the aim of the government is to generate over 3.5 crore jobs. That is the target of our government. Another important point here is the first time employees will receive a minimum amount of 15,000 rupees as a direct support, and in addition, employers will get a monthly amount of 3,000 per month. Okay. So that are the main highlights of this particular scheme. And now let us see the advantages of this scheme. Okay, what are the advantages of this scheme? First one is the massive job creation, that is increase in employment opportunities. So this 3.5 crore jobs, it is not a small number, right? So there will be a massive job creation, and as a result, what happens is that improvement of reduced poverty and hunger, and also increased or improved the standards of livings of the people. Okay. Next one is that the government is also giving financial incentives, right? So that we can encourage workforce entry into this. Okay. Also, government giving the financial support to the employer support. Sorry, the government giving financial support for the employers means it will help them to sustain in this particular uh, job opportunity creation. Okay. And another advantage is the formalization of the workforce. Okay, so what do you mean by formalization? Okay, so in jobs, we have mainly two kinds of jobs, formal jobs and informal jobs. Okay. Okay, so the people, for example, the people who are working in the IT industry, or the people who are working under government, that is government employees, these all people are considered to be doing the formal jobs. So, what are the advantages of having government job? They have public holidays, paid leaves. Then after retirement, they will be getting some amount of pension. And even if there is any health disturbance or anything, they will get health insurance. And especially if a woman is getting pregnant, they will be having maternity leave of minimum 6 months, right? And all these are the advantages of formal jobs. But what about these people who are working in, for example, a biscuit committee, or a construction site, or daily wage earners, or somebody like that? So, do they have any pensions? Do they have any maternity leaves or pensions or insurance, anything? No, right? So, such people are said to do informal jobs. Okay. So the problem in our country is 90 percentage of the employment in our country, it comes under the informal economy. Okay. They don't have any social security. So that is the main difference between formal and informal employment. That is, in formal employment there is social security, and in informal employment there is a lack of social security. Okay. So the government is encouraging on formalization of workforce. That means they will be also getting paid leaves, they will be also getting maternity benefits, insurance, pensions, etc. Okay. So this scheme is also focusing on this formalization. and obviously it will boost the manufacturing and production and economic growth in the secondary sector. Okay, and also the scheme focuses on skill development and reduction of economic disparities. Okay, so these are the advantages of this scheme, and now let's come to the concerns of regarding this scheme. Okay, obviously in the implementation and bureaucracy will be having problems, right? Is it possible to create 3.5 crore employment opportunities all of a sudden? So that is a big problem. That is implementation of big problem, and also there is a risk of misuse always, right? So for example, here the government has declared to give incentives or a particular amount every month, right? So we told that government gives additional 3,000 every month for the first 6 months, right? So what if the person creates an employment just to get this particular amount and they stop this job after 6 months? So there is high chance of misusing this scheme, right? Another important concern is that here they are focusing only on manufacturing. They are not focusing on other service based industries or MSMEs. So this will also uh, have a negative impact on the service sector and MSMEs as well. Okay, and another important concern is the sustainability of the jobs. For example, see here, since the scheme gives incentives for hiring for a minimum of just 6 months, right? So there is a risk that the employers may terminate. As I have already told you earlier, the employers may terminate them after the incentive period, right? That is also another important concern. So these are the advantages and challenges. And one thing that you have to do from your end is that try to find out points that can reduce these challenges or to overcome these challenges. Okay, so that you can include them in your answers, because this is actually a very important point in this week's news. So high chances of getting questions from this area, so please be prepared with the way forward also. Okay, that's all about this news. Okay, now let's see the next article. India has every right to defend its people against terror, says Shankar. Okay, what is this article about? Yes, it's about terrorism. Okay, here at a recent Quad foreign ministers level meeting, our foreign minister he made a particular statement. Okay, and whenever our government officials they are making any statements, that statements will be very very crucial, and directly on such statements you there can be questions, and also using such questions you can use it sorry using such statements you can make introductions, conclusions, or you can quote them in your answers. Okay, so here in a prelims point of view, what is important? The group quad, the members of quad, the objectives of quad, everything is important. Okay, and here in this news, here our union foreign affairs minister, what he has said that India has the right to defend itself against terrorism. Also, what did he do? He urged the or he requested the Quad partners to recognize and appreciate this stance of India against terrorism. Okay. Okay, so what was India's stance against terrorism? What did we do? What was the operation's name? Yes, Operation Sindoor. So, this statement was based on or on the light on this particular Operation Sindoor. Okay. So, what does this Quad is about? Quad mainly uh, aims in maritime security, logistics, education, and political coordination. Right. Okay. So now let us see some facts regarding Quad. Okay. It is also known as Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or it is also a strategic forum comprising four countries. What are the four countries? US, Japan, India, and Australia. Very, very important. The most important aim is to promote regional security and economic cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. They are focusing especially a free and open Indo-Pacific promoting democracy, human rights, rules of law, and countering one common point they came together is China. They want to counter China's expanding influence in the region. Which region? Indo Pacific region. Okay. So that's about this particular article, nothing more about it. Main points to focus is the one is Quad, another thing is this particular statement made by our minister and Operation Sindoor as well. Okay. Okay, so the next article is Railways launches Rail One app to ease ticket booking travel services. So what is this article talking about? Please make a note. The railway launches Rail One app. Okay. So whenever you're booking ticket, normally, what are the difficulties that we are facing? Yes, keeping the tickets in waiting list, cancellation of tickets, all these are the issues, right? So to remove those kind of challenges, our railway ministry has come with one app called as the Rail One app. Okay, you can use this app directly. What are the key features? We can get a 3% discount on unreserved tickets and platform tickets. Also, we can get live train tracking and grievance redressal. Then we have e-catering facilities. Okay, that is we can book food. Okay, then another one, porter booking and the last mile taxi services are also provided. So these much facilities are provided through this app. So please make a note. Also, it is a mobile app. So please, since it is newly introduced this year, high probability that a question can come either in mains or prelims. So please make a note and note down all these points. Okay. So where can we use this article? Whenever you get a question or whenever you have an answer saying how uh, government improves the public service delivery, you can always use this app example, okay, of this app. Okay. And one more thing is that grievance redressal is a separate topics in ethics. Okay, so there also you can quote this particular app by our railway ministry as an example. Okay, so it's very very important. You can quote it as an example, or maybe you can get a direct question for prelims. So please make a note of this particular article. Okay. Next, one of the most important articles of the week, groundwater crisis deepens in Karnataka's hard rock terrain. Okay, so we have to know what is groundwater, right? How water will go inside the ground? How do we get water from there? Okay, before that, how many types of rocks do we have? Three types, right? Igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks, and sedimentary rocks. Are all these rocks porous? Actually, no, right? So every rock, I mean, all the rocks can be divided into actually two types. That is, one is hard rock and soft rock. This hard rock is called non-porous rock, and the soft rock is also called the porous rock. Okay. What is the difference between porous and non-porous? Okay, suppose there are two rocks. One is a porous one, I mean having a lot of pores, and the other is not having pores. So when rain occurs, okay, so which rock is having more probability to store more water? The porous rock, right? Porous rock can retain water in it. Okay. So such rocks which have the capability of storing water are called as aquifers. Okay. And the water which is stored in these rocks is called groundwater. Okay. So especially if we notice, we know that especially in the urban areas we will have a motor, and like if we switch on we will get water, right? From where do we get this water from? We get this water by drilling these porous rocks. Okay, so the water from these rocks, that is the water that we get it in especially in the urban areas where there is no wells, I mean open wells. So, but you might have also noticed that in some areas, even if you drill below 5,000 feet, also you may not get water. Why? Because in that area we'll be having non-porous rocks. So, if we go for drilling these non-porous rocks, will you get water? No. There is no chance of getting water. They are impermeable. Impermeable means they do not allow water to pass through them. Aquifers are permeable rocks which will allow water to pass through them and store water. Okay, but the non-porous rocks or the hard rocks are impermeable, so they don't have water in them. So this article is saying that this in Karnataka region the groundwater crisis is going high, especially in the hard rock terrain. Okay, so this Karnataka region, is it a plain or a plateau? It's a plateau, right? In this plateau region we will be having hard rocks. So in hard rocks do we have water? No. Okay, so if you are having porous rocks, water will seep inside, and but in case of hard rocks what happens is that the water will not seep through, it will not go inside, so it will go, I mean it will change the route and move. That is the reason why there are more springs, more streams in this Karnataka region. Okay, got it. Also in Karnataka we have a lot of waterfalls, right? So this is the main reason, because hard rocks do not allow water to go inside, so definitely water will pass them and go to another place. Okay, it will change the track. So here see, Karnataka's groundwater is based mostly on hard rock aquifers, and about 99% of the state relies on the Deccan Plateau's unyielding formation for water. These geological formations offer far less than they promise, unlike sedimentary aquifers. Okay, so this particular article mentions the problem with the hard rock in Karnataka. So in Karnataka, rather than sedimentary rocks, they are having more of igneous rocks, which are more hard. Okay, and because of this, and also since the groundwater is being depleted because of the overuse or overuse of groundwater, or exploitation of groundwater, now Karnataka has started facing the groundwater crisis. Okay. So what is happening is that as a result, the depth of drinking water bore wells are also increased, and also 55% of all these wells have failed. Okay, and they are saying that within a decade, almost 70% of the wells will fail. That means will stop giving water. So the main reasons for groundwater depletion that are mentioned here is the excess use of groundwater and financial strain on the local bodies. Also, it is saying that the farmers in those areas are being warned to use less water, otherwise, within 3 to 4 years, there will be no groundwater left. Okay, actually, it's a very severe threat, right? So, this article is related to geography. Please make a note on the groundwater issues. Okay, groundwater depletion, the types of rocks, what is the connection of rocks with water retention. All these things are really important in your geography. Okay, both in prelims and mains. Another article, very very important article, using technology to empower women and children. One of the favorite areas of UPSC asks questions every year on women and children. Okay, either GS or essay, definitely you will be having a question for sure. So whatever happens, you must have prepared notes ready for the exam. Okay. So this article is speaking mainly on some technological advancements where government is focusing on empowerment of women and children. Okay. So here the Union Ministry of Women and Child Development, Annapurna Devi, she highlights the transformative role of technology in empowering women and children in India. Okay. So this article is written by the Union Minister of Women and Child Development, Annapurni Devi. So you have to note who has written the article. For example, in case of this article, it is written by a government official. So this every information that is given in this particular article, it is authentic. Okay, it is. I would say that you guys take a screenshot of this particular article and read it very carefully, because anything and everything from this article that you get can be quoted directly in the article, I mean answers for your mains, because it is authentic. And this particular article talks about the technological advancement made by government to empower the women and children. Okay, first one is the Saksham Anganwadi. Okay, so what is special with this? Saksham Anganwadis modernizes over 2 lakh centers with smart tools for nutrition and education. And the second one is the portion tracker. Please make a note of this. Okay, and what does this do? It enables real time data monitoring for over 10 crore beneficiaries. Okay, so earlier, I mean, before these schemes came, you might be knowing that if a woman, when a woman gets pregnant or when a woman is conceived, they will have to register themselves in an Anganwadi, right? So, there, because only then they will get the incentives or the facilities, the nutrition supplements given by the government for free. Okay, so at that time, to maintain such information, what they used to do is that they used to record everything in a register, right? And at the time of delivery, you will have to produce that register. But now what happens is that everything now, when you go to register, they will ask your Aadhaar details, bank details, all these things, and uh, it will be, everything will be saved in a portal, right? So everything will be tracked, I mean, your progress, on time progress, everything will be there in the portal. So at the time of delivery, all they ask is your ID. You need not carry the register or something. So these technological advancements are also included in such type of activities or the women and children empowerment activities as well. Okay. Best example is a portion tracker. Okay. Next one is the She Box and Mission Shakti. So have you heard of She Box? You might have heard. She Box is a complaint box, and Mission Shakti as well. Both these focuses on women's safety through technology led platforms. Okay, both these are technology led platforms. Next point is Pradhana Mantri Madru Vanjana Yojana, where government is giving direct financial benefits digitally to millions of pregnant women. So what is this? You might have heard this one. Before delivery, the pregnant woman will be given an amount, and after delivery also they will be given an amount for their, I mean, health, taking care of their health, pre-pregnancy and post-pregnancy health care, nutrition, for all these things. Okay. Another important point in this article is that we made a very good improvement in sex ratio at birth and maternal mortality rate. And another point is we have one more portal called as Caring Portals, which focuses on child protection systems. Okay. So please keep yourself updated. Please take down the important points from this article because it is very, very relevant for your examinations, especially the technological advancements. Okay, and also the improvements, recent improvements, everything that is given in this article, because each and every point here is important and authentic. You can directly quote them in your answers, and there are chances for getting questions from here directly in the prelims and mains. Okay, please go through this article twice or thrice so that each and every point of this article gets into your brain properly. Okay, fine. Okay, so the next article title is Explosion at Firework Units Kills 8 Workers in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so what is this article talking about? It is talking about the explosion at a firework unit. Yeah, so previously we have seen an article regarding an explosion where a blast in the pharmaceutical area in Hyderabad. Okay, now this is in the Tamil Nadu area and it is explosion of a firework unit. So actually every year at least 3 times or 4 times this Tamil Nadu fireworker unit explosion will be there in news. So why commonly explosion happens in these I mean firework explosion units, I mean firework units? One reason is the lack of training and skills in handling the explosives, right? Mostly, if you go to this Shivagashi area, which is famous for this fireworker units, in that area you don't have formal things. Okay, illegal manufacturing of fireworker happens, and the next one is there is no proper inspections of these units, and even child labor is also very prevalent there. Okay, so that is also one reason why these accidents happen so prominently there. Okay, so which under which subject does this come? Yes, it comes under disaster management in GS3. And another thing is that, see, why do these kind of accidents happen? It is due to the lack of obeying proper rules and regulations, right? Lack of implementation of rules and regulations. So these rules and regulations comes under which paper? Yes, it comes under the governance in GS2. Okay, so this article can also be considered as a topic from that paper as well. So, as I have mentioned in the previous article regarding the pharmaceutical unit, so there also the same thing is applicable. Okay, so questions may come regarding the causes, impacts, and the measures, and also there can be questions regarding the rules and regulations regarding such incidents. Okay. And one point that I left out in the previous article is that when you write such articles, it will be always a value addition if you draw a small map of India and show where such incidents or accidents have taken place recently. Okay, if you mark them, the places and the particular accident in a map, I mean, along with your main answer, it will be an additional point or an additional highlight to your answer as well. Okay. So in the map, you can add in which year the explosion happened, which place the explosion happened. Also, so it will help you to portray like in the last 5 years which area of India has reported most of the accidents. Okay, so I just gave an example. You can do such things in your answers as well. Okay, so now let's see more about this article. An explosion at Gokul's firework manufacturing unit near Tamil Nadu resulted in the tragic loss of life and also injuries. Okay, so what are the main causes of this explosion? One is the lack of safety mechanism, as we have discussed earlier. The factory had no first aid equipments, no fire safety equipments, no proper ventilation. Okay, so these things violate the Factories Act 1948, which we have already mentioned in the previous article. Okay, that is one cause. And next one here is another point is negligent monitoring. So, though here the article says that though the local police had conducted a spot check at the factory just 15 days ago, they failed to indicate that the crackers were being manufactured based on illegal materials. And another cause is that most of the factories there are not legal. Most of them are illegal. They don't have proper license. Or for example, this particular factory which exploded, it actually had the license only for storage and trading, not for the manufacture of firecrackers. And another thing is the presence of explosive substances, that is aluminum powder and yellow dextrin, which are the chemicals used for making explosives. And studies say that the presence of these chemicals might have led to an uncontrolled blast. So here what you have to see is that whenever I mean you, at least like for example for festivals and all, we all burn crackers, right? So one thing that you can do here is that you can find I mean which chemical gives which color to the cracker, all those things. Okay, very very important because UPSC has already asked such questions. So please make a list of chemicals and which color of sparkles they will give. Okay, it is very important because UPSC has asked such questions in the past. Okay. And another thing is that you might have heard about green crackers. The government is promoting the use of green crackers rather than using these chemical crackers, right? So it will be very good and efficient if well and good if you go for a research, not a detailed research, but just what are green crackers. Okay, just make notes on them, like one, two, three sentence notes. Okay, what are green crackers? Why are they used? And what is their advantage over the chemical crackers? You might be knowing, but if you have any confusions, just go Google it and just clear it. Okay. And if we government has any rules or any initiatives or something regarding that, please make a note of that. Also, please refer to the types of green crackers, okay, because there are three types of green crackers. Please know them, okay. Please Google them and find out what are the types of green crackers and what are their advantages, okay. And another important thing is how India regulates such fire blast events, okay. Please make a note of the laws of acts that are present, okay. As I have already mentioned in the previous news. So all the acts that I mentioned in the previous article are also relevant here, along with 2 3 acts that I'll mention here again. First one is the Explosive Acts 1884 and Explosive Substances Act of 1908. They are focusing on regulation on manufacturing, possession, use, sale, transport, and import of explosives. Okay, please note down these acts as well. I have not mentioned them in the previous article. Again, Factories Act is important. I have already mentioned there. And the third one is the National Building Code of 2016. Okay, this code mandates, that is, it is mandatory. This code says that it is mandatory to have fire safety norms. For example, proper ventilation, proper spacing, proper storage standards for industrial units which are handling the explosives. Okay. The next one is the NDMA guidelines. Okay, we all might be knowing that. So we have NDMA guidelines on chemical and industrial disasters 2007. Okay. It emphasizes on risk assessment, giving licenses, regulating audits and disaster response planning for hazardous industries. Okay. Another important act which is very important here is the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, because you might, as I've already mentioned in the first part of this article, that is in these areas like Shivagashi, child labor is very, very prominent. So this this act prohibits employment of children in hazardous industries like firecracker industries. Okay. And another important act is the Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1976. Sorry, 1979. We know that South is very much famous for such industries. Like, for example, okay, if you go to North, if you have to do a job, you have to get into government service, or else they have to migrate to other states and they have to do seasonal employment. And especially in South, we have textile industries, then we have cement industries, then steel industries, then firecracker industries. Most of the manufacturing industries are there in South. So that means lot of migrants are employed in this southern part of the country. So we have to protect them, right? So government came up with this Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1979, and this act focuses on the protection of migrant workers employed in firecracker unions, okay, if they are injured or killed in an accident. So in this way, government is ensuring the safety of the laborers in the firecracker industry. Okay. So you have to remember all these acts for sure. Okay. Also, when you're writing any answers regarding migrant workers, you can add this particular act in the governance point GS2. Okay. And there is one important organization you have to remember whenever you're writing an answer regarding firecracker accidents or something like that. So you know that which is the organization which is responsible for giving of license and doing regular inspections. We have an organization known as PESO, Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization. Please note it down. Make a note somewhere. Okay. Okay. Before even we got independence, we came up with this PESO. Okay. It was formed in 1890. Actually, earlier it was called the Department of Explosives. and later on after independence we changed the name to peso. Okay, it is one important agency which is responsible for the safety, regulating safety of hazardous substances such as explosives, compressed gases, and petroleum. Okay, so these three things they will be taking care of. That is compressed gas, petroleum, and explosives. And the headquarters is located in Nagpur, Maharashtra. And what are the important objectives of this PESO? It provides operational and technical advice and also assistance. That is nothing but help to central government, state, but and as well as local bodies, law enforcement agencies, industries, trade, and end users who are related to these three things, that is explosives, compressed gas, and petroleum. Okay, so that's about this article. Okay, see the next article. See the title: BRICS will help create a multipolar world, says Modi. Okay, so what are the important keywords here? BRICS is definitely an important keyword, and other than that, multipolar world is another keyword in this article. Okay, you all might be knowing that the BRICS summit is taking place, right? And our honorable PM is also visiting. So here he had, or he told a particular statement about this multipolar world. So what is this multipolar world? You might have heard about unipolar, bipolar, etc. What is it? Unipolar world means that the power lies in the hands of one country, okay, one nation. That is called unipolar. And if the whole power is exercised by just two nations, it is called bipolar. But here our PM emphasizes on creating a multipolar world. That means the power is exercised by equally distributed among different countries. Okay, that is, power shouldn't be concentrated in just two or more countries. We need equal distribution of power with different countries. Okay, and there is a very high chance of getting questioned regarding what is multipolar world and what are its features and what are the advantages of having this multipolar world. Okay, so let us see regarding the article. Okay, our Prime Minister regarding this five nation diplomatic tour, he aimed at strengthening the cooperation within the global south and advancing the collective priorities of emerging economies under the BRICS framework. We all know that our Prime Minister is on a five nation tour, right? So what is the aim of that tour? It aims to strengthen the global south cooperation. Okay, so there is a importance, or there is equal significance to each and every of the five nations that he had visited. So I mean he is planning to visit. So regarding Brazil, India and Brazil will discuss the advancing BRICS priorities for emerging economies. And visit to Ghana includes the talk on vaccine production and development partnership. Okay, there was an article this week regarding his visit to Ghana. He was given the highest honor of Ghana. So that is also important. Please go through that article as well. Okay. And in Trinidad and Tobago, what happens? Modi renews historical cultural ties. Okay, so please note down what are the activities that he has done specifically on a mains point of view. What are the activities that he had done in each of the countries, and also please go for the, or please make a note of the location of those countries. Okay, because very high probability to be asked in the prelims regarding the location, geography, maps, etc. Okay, so now let us look into the key features of the multipolar world. Please make a note. The first one is the multiple power centers. Okay, so that is, we will not be having a single power center like the US or USSR now. So we will have several nations of groups. For example, BRICS, European Union, US, etc. So that is, we will be having different groups, different unions, okay, different groupings, which will influence the global affairs, not just one or two. Okay. So all the groups or all the groupings, for example, we have BIMSTEC, we have BRICS, we have SARC, we have SCO. So all these groupings together, they will be influencing the global affairs. That is a main key point. Okay. Next important point is that we will be having very diverse perspectives. That is, we will have different cultures, different economy, different political systems, etc. So overall, this will shape the global decision making. Okay. And next very important point is that there will be no single country domination. Okay. Power is distributed across different regions. Okay, so that is, it will have a decentralized influence. Okay, next one is we will have proper way for cooperation as well as competition. Okay, that is, there will be routes for nations to collaborate on shared goals, for example trade, climate change, etc. And also they will be competing, there will be a healthy competition for influence on the world. Okay, so these are the key points or key features of multipolar world order. Now, what are the advantages of this multipolar world order? The first one is definitely balancing the power dynamics. Okay, that is, it is nothing but decreasing of dictatorship or decreasing of dependence of a single country or two or three countries. Okay, so we will be having balanced power dynamics. It will reduce the risk of unilateral discussions, etc. Okay, also it will encourage the mutual accountability among the nations. And next advantage is diverse representation. That means, for example, if you're having groupings like BRICS or ASEAN or SEO, see, different countries are part of each organization, right? That means they are having different, diverse representations. So that means we can address different problems or different issues according to the members of each and every group. Okay, and we can also promote global governance. Okay, it's a very, very important point. And the next one is economic opportunities. We can improve our trade, global GDP, investment, etc. from multiple regions. Okay, which will aid in reducing the dependency on a single economic power. Next one is that it ensures strategic stability. That means it reduces the risk of global conflicts. Ultimately, nothing, it will reduce the chance of having a war. And obviously, we can promote innovation as well as collaboration. So, every country will cooperate with each other. They will not be having ego issues with each other. For example, diverse nations, they will bring unique perspectives during innovation in technology, governance, sustainability, etc. Right? Okay, so that is also another important advantage. And the next one is cultural and ideological pluralism. That means we can share the resources properly, we can share technologies, we can share ideas, and also it also helps enable respect among different political systems and cultural values, and reducing the imposition of one particular ideology in a global arena. Okay. Okay, so now do we need this in this present scenario? Yes, since we know that there are a lot of issues going on between countries, right? So to find a solution for all these, not only war, there are many other issues, right? What are they going on now recently? Issues with the US, issues with China, and all these things. So bringing about or creating a multipolar world can be a perfect solution for all these things. So please have a note with you regarding this particular statement that our PM has told, and the basic features, advantages, concerns, everything regarding multipolar world. Because since it is told by a very important government official of India, so it is very much validating and authenticated. Okay. Okay, so let's move to the next article. HC or High Court asks centers to update RTI rules for digital formats. Okay, so this article is talking about RTI. RTI is nothing but Right to Information rules. Okay. Okay, in which year did we come up with this RTI Act? Yes, it was in 2005, right? Okay, and one more thing, very important scheme that we came up with in 2025. What is it? MG Narega. Okay, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. That also in 2005. Okay. Okay, now let's see what exactly is this Right to Information Act, or what is this right to information? If you are a citizen of India, then you can access or you have the right to know about the status of the procedures of the government. Okay. For example, if you have applied for a birth certificate, or if you have applied for any other certificates or something, if you have okay, approached the government officials for this any applying or any particular such need, and so you have the right to know where what is the status of the process, or where does this stand. Okay, so we will get information regarding that. Not only that, if you have any doubts regarding the implementation of any scheme of the government, then yes, you have definitely have the right to information. Okay. For example, if you have applied for any particular scholarship and you have been rejected, so you have the right to know why you didn't get the scholarship, where have you been stuck. Okay. Okay, and one more thing is that RTI is a very important topic in your GS4 and ethics. Okay, every year you will get a question regarding this particular topic. Not only in GS4, in GS2 governance also you will be have means RTI is a very important topic, and there are high probability for questions to be asked. Okay, please keep a star mark for this topic and learn the topic. Okay, specifically RTI Act. So what you have to note here is what is RTI. Also, you have to see what is the history, why we came up with the RTI Act in India. Then what are the provisions under this RTI, and what are the exceptions of this act. Then obviously the advantages of this act, and then the challenges of this act. Please make a proper crisp and clear note regarding these core areas. Okay. Okay, so now let's come to the article. Why is this article in news? It is because till now we have RTI on paper. That is, we send the application and we get everything through paper. Okay, only through offline mode. Okay. But now the thing is, everyone is advanced in technology, right? So everyone is having mobiles, laptops, tablets, etc. So that is so internet penetration is very high even in the rural areas. Okay. So now we are having a we are having facilities for even online access to this RTI. Okay. Earlier, what we had to do to apply, earlier we had to write a letter with pen and paper to the information officer, mentioning all the details and mentioning the about what you need the information. Okay, so you had to send it to that which particular government office you have to, and the information also from the government side, it will be sent through post only to your address. Okay, so is this feasible now? We know that today we don't go for writing letters using a paper and pen, right? So today's generation don't prefer that. They will be like just giving a message, or typing a message or sending an email, anything like that. Okay, so this is the reason why the High Court, Delhi High Court, has come up with a direction to union government to update the RTI rules as per the digital formats. Okay, that is nothing but we have to go for the modernization of RTI with emails, pen drives, or cloud based platforms, so that it will be easy for the present generation to have access to information. That is this. Okay, there is nothing more than this. Okay. Okay, so in this article, it is important to analyze what are the positives and negatives, right? There are not only positives but also negatives for this updation of RTA rules to digital format. There are a lot of positive points and also the negative points. So please make a note of them. Please think over them, make a note from your perspective, and also some solutions or a way forward for the challenges as well. Okay. So now it is important to see some facts regarding RTI. So we know that right to information is a fundamental right in India that empowers citizens to seek information from public authorities. Okay. And what is the purpose of this RTI? It is to promote transparency, to empower citizens by giving them access to government held information, and then to reduce corruption and promote accountability among the public government officials, and also strengthen the democratic principles, right? How? By ensuring people's right to know about administrative decisions and policies. And another important thing is you have to make note of the what is the information that is exempted from this RTI. Okay. Okay, what are the information that is exempted from RTI? Any information that affects the national security and sovereignty concerns. For example, information that affects India's sovereignty, security, or strategic interest, relations with foreign countries, etc. For example, if you write to the RTI regarding, I want to know how many, regarding what are the weapons that are used in the warfare, how many weapons are there, will you get the information? No, right? So all these things affect the security of India, right? So such informations will be exempted from this RTI. Another exemption is the information that breaches the privilege of parliament or the state legislature. Okay, this will also be exempted from RTI. Okay. Privilege, what are privileges? Privileges is nothing but some immunities these members of parliament have. Okay. They will be having individual privileges and collective privileges. Okay. The next exemption is the cabinet papers, that is, cabinet deliberations, including discussion of the Council of Ministers, secretaries, senior officers, etc. They also remain protected under the RTI provisions. Okay, they are exempted from RTI. Okay, so these are the most important aspects regarding RTI, this particular article. Please have a good note, have a pre-prepared note, at least a half page or one page or note of this particular topic. Very important. Asked, UPSC has asked questions repetitively, both in the prelims and mains from this particular topic. Okay. Also, please make a note regarding the exceptions as well. Okay, because always in polity, UPSC asks about exceptions. Okay, very, very important. So I am repeating again and again. Please highlight them and study them. Okay. Okay, and one more important thing is that there are more articles regarding the firework explosion. I mean, firework unit explosion incident and pharma unit explosion incident as well. So please go through them. Since I have already discussed those two main articles, I am not going for repetition of the articles again. So there are a lot of articles on the same week regarding to the same news, so please go for them. I mean, please go through the articles, and the points are just the same that we have already discussed. Okay, so now let's move to the next another important article. Are gig workers a part of India's labor data? Okay, so here the keyword is zig workers. Who are zig workers? Okay, zig workers are also known as platform workers. Okay, which kind of platforms they will be using? Like Swiggy, Zomato, Zepto, Ola, Uber, etc. Okay, such workers are called zig workers or platform workers. Okay, now what are the problems that they face? The first one is they don't have any social security benefits, right? They don't have paid leaves. They don't have any bonus in the festivals, no gift on festivals, no maternity leaves or anything, right? And another important thing is that they don't have any specific timing on work, right? We know that even midnight we order food from Swiggy and Zomato and they will have to deliver, right? And another important challenge is their payments, right? They don't have monthly fixed payments, right? Payment will be based on orders. That is, it will their payment will depend on how many orders they picked and how many orders they will deliver. Okay. Another issue is the job security, right? They don't have a guarantee of getting work every day. Okay, so these are the problems. There are many others as well. Problems faced by the ZIG workers, and also you must be able to pinpoint the solutions for these problems. If there are any government initiatives or if there are any government schemes to solve these problems, or if you have any suggestions regarding solution to the problems of ZIG workers, for example, formalizing their works, etc. Okay. So, what are the key points that are discussed in this article? Article says that SIG workers were first incorporated into the legal framework through the Code of Social Security 2020. So earlier in this article, we discussed that these ZIG workers, they are not having a social security. So the government in 2020 itself, they came up with a government framework to ensure legal security to the ZIG workers. Okay, and that particular code framework is called the Code of Social Security 2020. Another important fact in this article is that according to Niti Aayog's 2022 report, India's booming ZIG and platform economy. Uh, that is the name of the report, and in that report it says that the ZIG workforce is expected to reach 23.5 million by 2029-30. Okay, so that means they are going to create huge employment opportunities, right? So, what do I hope you understand the need of giving them social security or giving them all the other advantages, right? Our perks and benefits. So, on one more thing is that if we go for shutting down of these online platforms, it will affect the employment of these people as well, right? Next point is, unlike traditional self employment, ZIG work is shaped by platform algorithms. Right, we know that. Performed across multiple apps. So we might be already knowing that, for example, if one person is working under Uber, he might not be working not just under Uber, right? He will be working on Rapido, then maybe in Swiggy, Zomato, etc. That is, they are working not just under one particular app. They will be working for multiple apps at the same time, right? Because we know that they don't have a fixed income, so to meet their expenses or to meet their daily expenses, they will have to work on multiple platforms. Another important point that the article is saying that is that workers have no stable contract and often they rely on digital reach. So what this article mainly focuses that already we are having a code of conduct, right? A code of social security, but the thing is that there are issues with the implementation. Okay, and here in country there is a very huge population which is depending on this ZIG sector. So implementation of this code is very important. Okay, and also we have to give certain guarantees for these workers, right? So that we can promote employment opportunities in this field. Okay, so now let's say the next article, endocrine disruptors and plastic waste, a new public health threat. Okay, so what are these endocrine disruptors? Okay, endocrine glands are the glands which will release hormones directly into the blood. Okay, so that different physiological processes in our body can be controlled. Okay. Okay, so now this pituitary gland, thyroid gland, etc. are the examples of endocrine glands. Okay, adrenal gland, etc. Also, we know that these glands play an important role in our body, right? Our body temperature, our height, everything, our body structure, our shaping, and how it is shaping. The fertility of a man, fertility of a woman, everything is dependent on this endocrine glands. Okay, if you have observed, you will be finding that many people today they are having many hormonal problems. For example, they will be having thyroid problems, and many people, especially women, are getting PCODs, then rising of infertility in both men and women, etc. So these problems are occurring very frequently in today's world, right? So actually, when have these problems started in such a massive way? Do our great grandfathers or grandmothers have this problem? No, right? Okay, so what is happening here? What is wrong? What is going on now? So now our food system, or the influence of plastic is affecting a lot on the endocrine glands, and that is what this article is talking about. Okay. Okay, now let's go into the article. Okay. Okay, so here in this article they mention about microplastics. What are microplastics? The plastics, which are plastic particles which are smaller than 5 mm, are called as microparticles, right? So in a very recent study they have mentioned that in Indians, in more than 89% of the blood samples in India, the presence of microparticles have been found. Okay. Actually, please make a note of it. It's very, very important data, can be directly quoted in your answers. Okay. And this 89 percentage is a very huge percentage, right? It is a very dangerous fact, actually. Okay, so not only regarding humans, even animals also, you know that regarding the animals that are roaming around, for example, in the urban areas, if even if it is not so common in Kerala, in other states you can see that these cows, buffaloes, all these things, they will be roaming around in the towns. I mean, in through the streets, etc. Okay, so they don't get enough grass to eat. So what will they do? They will be eating these plastics, and so it doesn't get digested, right? The plastic doesn't get digested, and as a result, what happens? See, this article say that they will have disrupted testosterone levels, impaired sperm production, and damage the blood testis barrier. Okay. So these are it is speaking about animals, so it is not only applicable to humans, to animals as well. Okay. And another study says that it is in women also, it is having impact on ovaries. Okay. Because of this, there is decreasing of female hormones. Okay, whenever this female hormone reduces, what happens? See, actually in men there is only one hormone, that is testosterone, right? But in females we have two hormones. Sorry, four hormones. Oxytocin, progesterone, estrogen, etc. Right? So in a female body, the proper balance of these hormones are important. Okay. If there is a hormonal imbalance, then there will be a lot of problems. Okay. For example, you might have observed that the women these days are, they are like becoming so aggressive, right? It is not their fault, it is because of this hormonal imbalance that is taking place. So now what we have to do is that we have to find solutions, we have to suggest solutions to avoid or to come out of this problem of plastics. Okay. The first solution can be that we can go for recycling of plastic, and we have to go for substitution of plastics. Okay. What are the substitutes for plastic so far? Yeah, banana leaf bags, paper bags, jute bags, cloth bags, etc. Okay. So there are many other ways to overcome this problem. Okay, cost due to plastic. So please go through the article, and also please make your own notes regarding, because it is a very relevant problem in today's society, especially in India. So it is necessary to have prepared notes of this, not only in a UPSC point of view, but also in a general perspective as well. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to the next article, which is Murder Most Foul. Okay, that is the title of the article, and this article speaks about custodial death. It is very, very important in a mains point of view, high chances of getting question. Okay, so now what is the meaning of custodial death? It refers to a death that occurs while a person is in the custody of law enforcement. Okay, so we have three types of custodies. First one is the police custody, second one is the judicial custody, and the third one is the paramilitary or army custody. Okay. So here normally we have in which custody we have deaths? One is in the army custody, right? Due to the use of third degree torture. Okay. also in the police custody as well. Okay, and also you have to know about the constitutional provisions. First one is Article 21. What is Article 21? It guarantees the right to life and personal liberty. Okay, which includes the right to be free from torture also. Okay, also Article 20 is also important here. Article 20 grants a protection against arbitrary and excessive punishment to an accused person. Okay, so we have two articles which talks about this particular custodial death. Okay, so if a custodial death is happening, that means this particular rights are getting violated, that is fundamental right gets violated. Okay. Okay, next we have to discuss the measures that have been taken so far to combat custodial torture. Okay, first one is the strengthening of our legal systems. There is a famous Supreme Court judgment in the Prakash Singh case 2006. Okay, it is very, very important. Please make a note. Okay, it talks about reforms in the police system. So, in this judgment, Supreme Court said that we have to criminalize these custodial deaths. Okay. Also, Supreme Court directed that we need to separate investigation and law and order functions to better improve policing. Sorry, to better improve policing, setting up of state security commissions, etc., that would have members from the civil society as well, along with the police officers, forming a national security commission. Okay, for the security of the people in custody. Next one is we have to ensure prompt and impartial investigations. Another important point is we are coming up with police reforms. Okay, so we have to enhance police training programs to emphasize respect for human rights and dignity. Okay, and next point is to promote a culture of accountability, professionalism, and empathy within the law enforcement agencies, which is actually not so prevalent in the policing systems in our country. Okay. Next important point is empowering the civil society and human rights organizations so that we can promote human rights protections. Okay. Okay, so these are the measures we are taking from police side, from legal side, and from the civil society side. Okay, to control this custodial death. So we can get a mains based question. Okay. Okay, so now let us see the next article. See the title. PIL seeks to protect Kolhapuri Chappals GI from exploitation. Recently, last week, actually in the monthly magazine of June, you will be having this particular news, that is Kolhapuri Chappals, they got the GI tag. Okay, that is why this article is in news. So, one important thing from here. And next important keyword is PIL. What is PIL? Public interest litigation. So here public interest litigation was filed to protect Kolhapuri Chappals GI from exploitation. Okay. Okay, the story here is that there is an Italian group which is called the Prada Group, and okay, here it is the Prada India Fashion Private Limited. Okay, and what is the problem here is that this group, they are producing a particular chappal which looks exactly like the Kolhapuri chappal. Okay, so because of this, actually they want to protect this Kolhapuri chappal GI tag. So because of this, the people who identified that, that is the Kolhapuri chappal and the Prada group producing chappal, they are looking identical. So they filed a PIL. Okay, to protect this particular Kolhapuri chappal. Okay, that is the thing. That is why this article in news. Okay, so in this article, what you have to say? First, you have to say about PIL. Okay, first important thing, and second important thing is regarding the Kolhapuri chappal, and then what you have to the third thing that you have to see here is the GI tag. Okay. Okay, so what is said in this article? A PIL has been filed in the Bombay High Court seeking urgent protection to the GI rights of the Kolhapuri chappals, a traditional handcrafted footwear from Maharashtra, India. Okay. Actually, they got this GI tag last week. Okay. So, whenever any product gets a GI tag, then no one should copy that. Okay, that is the purpose of giving this GI tag. So if they are copying that, they will be getting this kind of legal protection. Okay. And next one is the sandals, or the specialty of this sandals produced by this Prada company. They came up with this touring sandals. Okay, claim to mimic these sandals are claimed to mimic the Kolhapuri chappals. That is, they look exactly like the Kolhapuri chappals. Okay. Okay, so if you Google the pictures, images of this Kolhapuri chappal, you will understand that there is only having one touring on these sandals. Okay, and there will be one handle to support your leg. Okay. Okay, so now let's see some facts regarding this particular chappal. They are handmade leather sandals. They are 100% leather made. Okay. Um, they are usually open toed and T-strap designs. Okay, and this leather is made from cow, buffalo, or even goat. And once they you make this footwear, they will be using only tanning using this vegetable dyes. So the thing is that they will not be available in different colors. They will be having only some tan shades of tan or deep brown. Okay. Also, now one important thing is that you have to know about the GI tag and its details. Okay. So a GI tag ensures that only the authorized users or those residing in the geographical territory are allowed to use the popular product name. Okay. It also protects the product from being copying or imitated by others. And if one product gets this GI tag, then it is valid for 10 years and it can be renewed after that. Okay. And one more thing, it comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, comes under the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Okay, it comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So these are the main points regarding this particular GI tag. And also, whenever a product comes gets new GI tags, when you see such a news, please uh, go for them. Make a note, at least just read, Google them and read the important features of that particular product and which area it belongs to. At least have a look on the image, get some images from Google and go through them, because GI tag is a very favorite area of UPSC prelims. It is a repeated type of question. Okay, so I think these are the most important news of this week. If I have left out anything, we will be including them in the coming sessions. And the thing is that we have almost covered all the main things, and some news actually they will be recurring in the coming week as well. For example, some issues that have started in the last days of this week, for example in the Friday, Saturday. So there will be continuation of those articles in the coming week as well, and we will be having of discussions about that in the coming week. Okay. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.